The first scream didn't come from the passengers. It came from the cockpit. It was muffled, strangled by layers of steel and protocol, but it carried, just enough to ripple through the cabin like an invisible crack in glass. The plane jolted, not violently, but wrong, the kind of wrong that made seasoned travelers sit up straight and first-time flyers grip their armrests with silent prayers forming in their throats. Seatbelt signs blinked alive. A baby began crying somewhere in the back. And in row 9, seat a woman no one had noticed slowly opened her eyes. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that even the quietest souls can carry extraordinary strength, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And tell us in the comments where you're watching from, it means more than you know. Her name was Alara Vance, though no one on that plane knew it. To them, she was just another face, another traveler folded into the anonymity of economy class. Her hair was tied back loosely, strands escaping like they had given up trying to be neat. She wore a faded gray sweater and jeans that had seen better days. There was nothing remarkable about her appearance, nothing that would make a flight attendant pause or a fellow passenger strike up conversation. She had boarded quietly, avoided eye contact, and tucked herself into the window seat like she had spent a lifetime learning how to disappear. But Alara wasn't invisible. Not really. She had simply become very, very good at pretending. The plane shuddered again, a deeper tremor this time, and the overhead bins rattled like teeth chattering in the cold. A man across the aisle muttered something about turbulence, but there was uncertainty in his voice. This didn't feel like turbulence. This felt like something slipping, something failing. Alara's fingers tightened around the edge of her seat. She knew this feeling, not from fear, but from memory. Years ago, another life, another version of herself, she had sat in a room filled with blinking monitors and low voices, decoding patterns most people couldn't even perceive. She had been sharp then. Focused. Important. The kind of person people depended on when things went wrong. But that was before the mistake. Before the silence that followed. Before she walked away from everything. A sharp ding echoed through the cabin. Then the captain's voice came over the intercom, strained but controlled, the kind of calm that tried too hard. There was a technical issue. Nothing to worry about. The crew was handling it. Alara closed her eyes. Nothing to worry about. That phrase had cost lives once. Her chest tightened as fragments of the past clawed their way back, voices arguing, numbers not adding up, a decision made seconds too late. She had carried that weight for years, letting it crush her into the quiet, unremarkable person she had become. Another jolt. This one stronger. A woman gasped loudly. Someone dropped a glass. The plane dipped, just slightly, but enough for every instinct in Alara's body to scream that something was very wrong. And then, something happened that no one else in the cabin seemed to notice. A flight attendant paused beside her row. Not by accident. Not casually. She leaned in, just slightly, her voice barely audible, meant for Alara alone. "The captain needs you," she whispered. Alara's heart stopped. For a moment, she thought she had imagined it. That her past was bleeding into the present in some cruel, twisted hallucination. But then the attendant said it again. Not her name. Something else. Something buried deep in a life she had tried to forget. CIPHER 9. The world tilted. That wasn't just a code name. It was her code name. Alara's breath caught in her throat. No one had called her that in years. No one should have known it. That identity had been sealed, erased, classified into a part of the world that didn't exist on paper. And yet, here it was. Spoken softly in the middle of a commercial flight. She looked up at the attendant, searching for confusion, for a mistake. But there was none. Only urgency. Only certainty. Alara's hands trembled as she unbuckled her seatbelt. Around her, passengers were beginning to panic in hushed, controlled ways, whispers, tight grips, nervous glances. No one noticed as she stood. No one questioned as she followed the attendant down the narrow aisle toward the front of the plane. Each step felt heavier than the last. Because with every step, she wasn't just walking toward the cockpit. She was walking back into the person she used to be. The door opened. Inside, chaos was dressed as control. Warning lights blinked in angry reds and urgent ambers. The co-pilot was speaking rapidly into a headset, trying to maintain communication that crackled with interference. The captain, an older man with steady eyes and a face carved by years of responsibility, turned the moment she entered. And then he said it. Softly. Gravely. CIPHER9. Alara froze. How do you know that? She whispered, her voice barely holding together. The captain didn't answer immediately. His gaze flicked to a console, then back to her. Because you're the only person on this plane who can understand what we're seeing. He shifted slightly, revealing a screen filled with data that made no sense, at least not at first glance. Numbers looping incorrectly. Signals overlapping. Systems contradicting each other in ways that defied logic. To anyone else, it would look like malfunction. To Alara, it looked like something far worse. It looked like interference. Not random. Intentional. Her mind snapped into focus before she could stop it. Patterns emerged where chaos had been. Meaning formed where confusion had lived. This isn't a system failure, she said slowly, stepping closer. It's being manipulated. The co-pilot turned sharply. What? Alara's eyes moved across the data, faster now, sharper. Someone's feeding false inputs into the navigation system. It's forcing conflicting commands, trying to override manual control. The captain's grip tightened on the controls. Can we stop it? Alara hesitated. Because this was the moment. The moment where she either stepped fully back into the person she had once been. Or stayed the nobody in row 9. Her past screamed at her to step back. To remember what happened last time. To remember the cost of getting it wrong. But then she thought of the people behind her. The baby. The nervous man. The woman gripping her seat. Hundreds of lives balanced on a thread of decisions. And suddenly, the weight didn't feel like a burden. It felt like purpose. Yes, she said quietly. But you have to trust me. Time blurred after that. Alara moved like she had never left that world. Her hands flew across controls she hadn't touched in years, her mind unraveling layers of digital deception with precision that felt almost unreal. She identified the pattern, isolated the interference, and began feeding corrective inputs, small at first, then stronger, more confident. The plane steadied, just a little. Enough to breathe, not enough to relax. The system fought back, pushing harder, more aggressively. Whoever, or whatever, was behind it wasn't giving up. But neither was she. Every mistake she had ever made, every regret, every sleepless night, they all led here. And this time, she didn't hesitate. She anticipated. She adapted. She overcame. Minutes stretched into something timeless, until finally. Silence. The alarm stopped. The screen stabilized. The plane leveled. The captain exhaled a breath. He didn't realize he had been holding. The co-pilot leaned back, stunned. And Alara just stood there, still, quiet, as if the storm inside her had finally settled. When she returned to her seat, no one clapped. No one cheered. Most passengers didn't even know how close they had come to disaster. To them, she was still just a woman from row 9. And maybe that was okay. Because as she sat down, looking out at the endless sky, something inside her had changed. She wasn't hiding anymore. She wasn't running from her past. She had faced it. And this time, she had saved something. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that even the quietest people carry untold strength, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. It helps these stories reach others who might need them. And before this story ends, we have a special request. Comment the word courage if you believe that one moment can change everything. Because sometimes, the world doesn't need a hero in the spotlight. Sometimes, it just needs someone in row 9 who remembers who they truly are.